This is episode 378 of the 3 Point Podcast, and we're presented, as always, by the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center. Their orthopedic walk-in clinic is now available for those sports-related injuries, Monday through Fridays, 8 to noon, no appointment needed. For more information on the Wellness Center, follow them on Facebook. Our other great partners include Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Nichols Painting, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, the Shiawassee County Fair, and ALS of Michigan. Our sponsor spotlight tonight is AZee Branding Solutions, custom design service providing graphic design, video production, web development, and branding solutions for you. Partner up with them to grow your brand A to Z. Plus, AZee is also a full service garment decorating business. So another one of our great sponsors. You know, we talk about it, maybe not enough, how important it is for our advertisers and our partners to team up with us. You know, we love promoting them, but they really help us have the motivation to do this every single week, right?
They're the best. I mean, they really are. I mean, you can go down the list from A to Z with all of our sponsors. Not only are they good brands and good companies, but I just like the people. So to me, that's the most important thing. That's why it's like, I would almost sponsor them for free. Just kidding. But but no, I mean, honestly, our sponsors really are the best. So you're right in shouting them out like that.
Amen.
No, it is cool. And I always appreciate, Ted, whenever you have something that you need to get done, whether it's some painting, whether it's some electrical work, or whether you go see a play, you know, you're always thinking like, how could we help these people out? You know, like you said, Jared, get the word out about their business and, you know, talking to them. So no, we've always appreciated the support from our partners.
Amen. Well, we have a fun podcast lined up for you in the Jacobs Insurance Prep Spotlight. We're gonna chat with Grandville Bulldog head football coach Eric Stiegel, coming off a big win over Caledonia, and they have a big matchup coming up against Rockford on Friday night. But instead of catch up, guys, let's get it out of our system. The Tigers heading into the final 6 games of the season. They finished up here on Sunday, 1 game up on the Guardians. Fortunately, the Guardians lost, but that 15 and a half game lead from July 8th has evaporated. Major worry time. You can not help but not be worried, right?
I mean, it would be, I've seen some numbers that it would be the biggest collapse, or for the Guardians, the biggest comeback in Major League Baseball history, as far as, like you said, the amount of games back that they were, and then the amount of time that they've covered this ground. I mean, it is actually, it's really crazy how it's played out, because, you know, there's been some ups and downs through the season. We've talked about it on the podcast plenty. But it always felt like, even when they dipped a little bit, the lead was still big enough in the Central that it was like, they're still going to be fine.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting here 1 game, and they start a 3-game series with the Guardians on Tuesday that probably is all but going to decide the division. You know, it's crazy too, because a couple of weeks ago they were in New York. They went to New York for that series. They played on September 11th, and the first 2 games of that series with the Yankees, they won like, what was it, like 23-3. They won like 12-2 and 11-1 those first 2 games. Vibes were high. It was like, we've got stuff figured out, smashing the Yankees. The lead in the Central is big. Since then, they've gone 1-9, and the Guardians have basically gone the complete opposite, and that lead has evaporated. Baseball is a weird game. I mean, it's so much about like momentum, and if you have the yips, and, you know, such a mental game. And it just seems like the team, has the yips. Like, they're just out there trying to figure out what the heck to do, and it's not working.
Yeah, they seem rudderless right now. I mean, you said it. It's such a weird freaking sport, man. You can't explain it. It's the exact opposite of what we saw last year, where it was like all the bounces were going right. Everything was falling into place. You know, the teams ahead of us were losing at the end of last year. Now we're in that position, and it's insane. I think we sort of said in jest, you know, maybe a month ago, like, man, that Guardians series, you know, the second to last series of the year, could be like pretty entertaining. I think we all were almost just saying that just to say it. I don't think any of us actually thought we were going to be here with only a 1-game lead. Thank God the Twins, with a pinch hit home run, iced that game earlier today, or we'd be feeling, you know, for whatever reason, them losing that game made me feel a lot better about our chances. Having that 1-game lead hanging into this Guardian series. AJ Hinch said it after the game today, basically, you know, if you would have told me at the start of the year, hey, we're going to have a 1-game lead heading into these last 6 games, I mean, I think we all would take it. We all would take it as fans too. I mean, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. It's been an all-time collapse that we've seen. Now, I'm going to go negative about him, but first, let's just dream with me for a second. Don't you almost think heading into like the way I don't think any of us actually thought this was the best team in baseball, like what their records show. Maybe we did. I know I never felt that way. Don't you almost think that their back is against the wall like they are against a team that we've had some serious demons versus, a team that we're probably going to have to be in the playoffs? Like it seems like we have to do every goddamn year in the playoffs. The Guardians, like, all of us on the table, we have Skubal starting this game. It's almost like a playoff series. If we can find a way to win 2 or 3 against this Guardians,
right,
I think we're going to feel eons better than maybe we would have felt if we would have eked into playoffs and still won no matter what. It's like, just find a way to win 2 or 3 against the Guardians, and now we have our mojo back. Now we have our confidence back. I still see a seriously flawed team that's probably not a World Series team, but I don't know how to explain winning teams as it is, other than maybe the Dodgers, who really are that talented and year in and year out are that good. It's like you spend money, teams still might suck. We see that with the Mets, who are kind of swooning right now as well. A lot of the guys that we were looking at possibly making big time trades for at the deadline haven't been good. Like I was like just wondering that like today, because I remember Suarez, and we all kind of wanted Suarez. We're talking about Suarez at the deadline. He's batted like 190 since the trade deadline with the Mariners. So it's like everyone wants to rip Scott Harris head off, and I understand it. I think we all kind of realize, okay, I don't think we can rely on Charlie Morton to get across the finish line. The only move, but I don't think we all could have expected this implosion. I mean, the guys who were all-stars at the start of the year are almost like unplayable now. It's just such a bizarre sport. It's kind of what makes it a magical sport. We need Joe Posnanski back on to talk for 10 minutes about that essence of the game. But I just don't know how nobody saw this coming. Scott Harris didn't see this coming. AJ Hinch didn't see this coming. I mean, let alone all the goddamn injuries we've had. I mean, Foley, Brisky, Jackson Jobe, Olsen, these guys that we relied on big time last year in the playoffs just aren't even there.
Right.
And I don't know if you could have fixed it all at the deadline. Where do you guys stand on Scott Harris? Let me start there. What do you look back and go, you really F this up? Or is it just bad luck and just the baseball gods?
My quick thought on that is just, you can play backseat driver. And we talked a little bit about it, that they probably should have made a move or two, but I'm still on board with Scott Harris. What I've liked personally, I would have liked to seen them go after one of the big time closers, because pitching is my opinion. Yeah, they haven't hit the ball like they should either, but you need pitching, especially to make it to the playoffs and win in the playoffs. And you can't rely on Skubal being the only guy, right? I mean, AJ might have to go to, the bullpen by committee, and he might have to. And we don't really necessarily love that strategy, but if it works, you got to go for it. But I got one comment. I'll let Matt, if you want to comment first on the GM. But the other comment I have is, you like to have home games, but maybe it's a godsend that they're actually going on the road for the 5-6 games and take some of that pressure off, from home. You can bond together as a team maybe, and you may not have the last at bat in the game, but that didn't do much good at home either. So I think it might be a blessing in disguise.
It might be good too to get away from the fans. The fans are starting to turn on them too. They're booing at Comerica Park just constantly, which I get it. It's really frustrating, but it is that like what AJ Hinch said, the hindsight thing. They're playing really bad, yes, but they're still in first place.
Right.
They are still in position to win the division and make the playoffs. And once the playoffs start, you never know what's going to happen. If you have a healthy Skubal, Flaherty, I'm not the biggest Casey Mize fan, but he's solid. If you have three solid starters, one of them being Tarek Skubal, maybe the Cy Young winner again, you have a chance in the playoffs. So, it's almost like just get there. Just like kind of like what you said, Jared, figure out a way to win 2 or 3 against the Guardians, figure out a way to get to the playoffs, take a breath, and it's a whole new season once the playoffs start. As far as Scott Harris, I mean, again, it's very easy to look back at the deadline and now be like, see, this is why you needed to do all this. And I think we all agreed it would have been nice to see 1 or 2 more, a little more splash moves. But the Suarez thing, like I wasn't sold on him being like, boom, add Suarez to the lineup. Next thing you know, we're the greatest offense in baseball. You just don't know how things are going to shake out. How a guy is going to fit into the lineup, how he's going to fit into the clubhouse, and I see a lot of people, the fan favorite would have been them going after Justin Verlander, who since the trade deadline has actually been really good for the Giants.
That was a mistake.
Yeah. The only thing though, like at the deadline, he actually wasn't very good. His ERA was like above 7 or something crazy. He's turned it on the second half of the year. So, okay, if we would have known that, then that would have been really cool to bring him in. But, who knows what kind of conversations were being had. Maybe Verlander doesn't want to come back to Detroit, and do the whole circle the wagons. So, yeah, it's easy to question the GM. That's what fans do. But you just never know how these things are going to play out. Maybe they add Suarez and he absolutely tanks. And now they just lost 3 of their best prospects in the farm league, So it's crazy because, yeah, kind of like what you said, Jared, a few minutes ago. I don't know if any of us, even when they were at the top of the major leagues as far as record, I don't know if any of us truly thought they were the best team in baseball.
Right.
They've just kind of, outside of Skubal, they've just been like figuring out ways to win all season because Flaherty hasn't been that great. Mize has been up and down. Other starters have been up and down. The offense has been, in and out. We're relying on Javi Baez to play center and shortstop. And, it's been a weird season. So still have a 1-game lead heading into the last week of the season. I mean, this is like you kind of said we're watching playoff baseball. Every game now is playoff baseball.
Yep.
The one thing that makes me feel, I guess, like maybe it's a blessing for the future is hopefully this was kind of, and I just said like we can't critique Scott Harris and them too much. I feel like we were all kind of the impression that like we could bring anybody in and like our pitching staff can fix them. Chris Fetter, AJ Hinch, like we can make them good. And it worked for a little bit with some of these guys. We got a deadline, and then it just kind of imploded. And at the end of the day, it comes down to talent. And does this team have it with all the injuries we've had? No. And where do you guys stand? We make playoffs. Like, I mean, are you guys like confident we can win a series? I mean, especially we're pitching Skubal. Probably gonna have to pitch Skubal twice this week,
right,
to even secure that. That's the biggest bummer of it all. Is what was such a great advantage for us is we knew going into whatever our first playoff series was, you can pitch Skubal game 1. And if we're pitching him twice this week, it's like maybe we're not going to be able to do that. So that's the biggest bummer to me. How do you guys feel if we are in playoffs? Let's just say we split these games this week. We eke into playoffs. We go 3-3. We're in. What is a successful season for you guys at this point?
Well, I'm just getting in the playoffs at this point, to be honest with you.
Fair. Yeah.
But if they get to the playoffs, anything goes. You do have Skubal. And what I would hope for, it might be hoping for way too much, but if they sweep the Indians, they're in. So they don't necessarily have to pitch Skubal, and they can pitch him game 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, that'd be the hope. Get to that Red Sox series after Cleveland, and you basically have it wrapped up. So, yeah, you can save Skubal for game 1 of whatever series you're going to have. I mean, that's the hope. I mean, honestly, yeah, making the playoffs, but you want to win a series because they've been at the top of the major leagues all season. So it really is like, man, if you collapse and don't make the playoffs or, you get swept in the first round, it's a pretty disappointing season to be, as far as record,
right.
The best team in the AL all season. And then you just completely fall apart. But yeah, hopefully it's also like, okay, we did this. Let's spend a little money in the off season. Let's sign Skubal. Let's maybe get a couple bats because you can't rely on Torkelson all the time and Javi Baez and some of these other guys. But it makes me think like playoff baseball, and like I said, I'm kind of counting these games right now as playoff baseball. It basically is maybe the most stressful game to watch. I mean, every pitch you are like on the edge of your seat and just like wondering when's the next big hit coming or whatever. So it's fun. I mean, this time of year for baseball is awesome, but the Tigers aren't making it easy.
No, I will say this though, that we talked about Scott Harris and the GM, and yeah, maybe he didn't make some moves, but you're dead on, Matt. In the offseason, they got to spend some money. They got to spend some money and sign Skubal, and they've got to maybe bring some help in because their farm system is extremely talented, and there might be some good players coming up through the ranks here in the next couple of years. So stay the course at this point, but you got to make the playoffs, man, or that is going to sting just terribly.
It's just crazy to even think that we're talking about that. It's maybe our fault as fans. I mean, it's weird. I've had this kind of gut feeling I'm not gonna act like I knew we were going to collapse 15 games down. No.
Right.
It just feels like the vibe. I mean, the vibes last year were so unbelievably like, I say it all the time, PJ Fleck, Minnesota, row the boat. Fans, front office, coaching staff, players, everybody was rowing the boat last year. It was like, wow, we're here. We're way ahead of schedule. And then it felt like for whatever reason this whole year, it's like almost like fans and myself included, like we didn't talk about the Tigers last 2 weeks, probably my fault. It's like, I don't care to talk about them. Like they're in the playoffs. We'll find out once the playoffs. Next thing you know, they lose like 15 straight games. And here we are like feeling like idiots. At least I am. To me, it's partly on the fans. The vibes have been negative all year. We've been waiting to shit on them basically. It feels
Right.
like from that start, it's like we're just waiting to turn on these guys. It's kind of funny watching these games at Comerica Park this week where pitchers would struggle, throw a few balls, and then when they finally threw a strike, like I know they did this to Morton, they just did this in the 9th inning today, where now the whole crowd does a sarcastic clap the second they throw a strike. It's like it's kind of cold-blooded, man. But I just feel like for whatever reason, maybe it's because of the trade deadline where we didn't spend. People haven't been super gung-ho about this squad. Maybe I don't know. Am I crazy? Is that stupid? Did anybody else feel that?
No, I think again because when you outside of Scooble, the starting pitching and the pitching staff in general has been very iffy.
Yeah.
Jack Flaherty hasn't been what we hoped. I mean, he's had up and downs. Casey Mize made the All-Star game, but he kind of eked his way in, and then he's kind of dipped. So I think that's part of it because when you actually take a step back and look at the team, it's kind of been like, how the heck are they winning games? I really don't know how they're winning these games, but they did. So hopefully they figure out this last week. I was gonna real quick. There's a site, Fangraphs. I don't know if you guys have ever seen stuff.
Yeah.
They do playoff odds for all the sports or other odds. Like you can look up odds and stuff like that. A few weeks ago, the Tigers on Fangraphs odds to make the playoffs was 100%. 100%. Odds to win the division was like 98. I mean, or it was like 99.9 or something like that. We are now down to 80.7% to make the playoffs, 63% to win the division. So Fangraphs is still saying like it's ours to lose basically, but those odds have dropped significantly.
That's higher than I thought to make the playoffs at this point, but I'll take it, I guess.
I think the main thing, because we finished with the Red Sox, and I've seen some people talk about this, and the Red Sox, as far as the wild card, are that next team.
Right.
So like even if, say, we drop 2 of 3 to the Guardians, finishing with the Red Sox, we still could battle with them and
control our own destiny.
That's right.
Yes, exactly. And so,
Got to win Tuesday with Scooble on the mound. That's going to be it fell on the perfect day of the week where I'll be watching Tuesday night, no football.
Yes.
I will say the start of Michigan, which we're going to get to Michigan. I did finish. I was watching it with my dad. We did finish watching the Tigers game, which was an implosion on Saturday night.
I know.
Or it's like Saturday afternoon before watching the start of the Michigan-Nebraska game. So I guess that tells you where some people's fandom is I'm watching baseball over football.
That's what I did too, Jared. Exact same thing. I recorded the Michigan game and started it right at the beginning, but after the Tigers, that had my attention, and I wanted to puke afterwards too.
It's a gut punch, man. There's no other way to put it.
Well,
but again, now think of where we're at. It's like baseball is the must-watch sport. It's like here we are. This is what we wanted all season. This is what we wanted our whole lifetime as Tigers fans. You're up in the division. You all-time matchup with the Guardians. This is a rivalry. This is legitimately a rivalry.
Yes.
So it's like, I'm excited to watch it. Like just for the theater. Yeah, it sucks we're in this position, but in terms of entertainment, I mean, I'm not sure if there was a better situation that could have unfolded than what's happened.
Right. Yep. Well, let's cheer it up a little bit. So let's talk some college football and let's talk about Michigan. It was Bryce Underwood showing that he can play under the pressure. A big Michigan 30-27 win over Nebraska. It should have been by more, actually. There was some plays in that game that were just bizarre, but Underwood looked good, and I don't know why they didn't unleash him in that Oklahoma game, but maybe it's good they didn't. Maybe they learned that, hey, this is what we got to do because the kid can run, man. He is a threat.
He's a threat to run, and he's a big kid, so obviously he's going to continue to grow. So he can take the hits. I mean, you don't want your quarterback out there trying to like truck guys, but he can take some hits. And his stats. I saw people obviously comparing his stats to Raiola's and some of the other quarterbacks. He didn't put up like prolific passing numbers, but he was still moving the ball through the air. But the Michigan is still even if. Maybe in the next year or two they won't be. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. But Michigan's still a run-first offense. Right. I think Michigan's still going to play traditional football. And when Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall comes in for a couple big runs, when Michigan is dominating on the ground, you're not going to be putting up 350 yards passing. I mean, that's just it's not going to work like that. So, I mean, like people trying to take shots at Underwood. Oh, this is what you paid $13 million for, like 150 yards passing or whatever. It's like, yeah, because he had the one fumble, but like he didn't turn the ball over through the air. He rushed for, I think, 60 or 70 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we paid for. I mean, he played and he's 18-year true freshman, first road start in the Big Ten. Nebraska, pretty good team, and crazy
Packed house.
environment. So I mean, that's like, what are we getting mad about now? I mean, it's people just want to get mad about anything, but no, it was a good win. And yeah, I mean, I think we've said it before. Hopefully that Oklahoma loss, we can kind of almost roll our eyes at it, later and be like,
And
man,
they're pretty good too.
and Oklahoma's really good too. So
I think
no, it was a strong win. We'll see what Nebraska ends up being the rest of the year. I think they're a good team, but that's a big road win.
Yeah, they needed it. We needed to. Both programs needed to win that game. It felt like. I mean, now Nebraska. This doesn't even make sense, man. Now 0-28 in their last 28 ranked matchups. Like how far that program has fallen. It's crazy. And then every time Matt Rule loses one of these games, then his stats come out. It's like he's never won a ranked game at Temple, right, Baylor, or Nebraska. It's like I don't even understand how that's possible. The guy had an NFL job. He springboarded into an NFL job, never won a ranked matchup. I don't even understand how that's possible. But as I say that, I'm like, is that right? Like, am I ever read something wrong? It just sounds so wrong. But Michigan, the defensive line is starting to show the talent that I kind of mocked after that Oklahoma game. I was like, where's the talent on this team? Now it's starting to show. It's showing because we're playing some of these somewhat mediocre Big Ten teams, whereas maybe Oklahoma is just that good. I think that's what we're maybe realizing. To me, I think they're the best team in the SEC. Oh, and they probably have the best quarterback in the country, who's maybe the best at evading sacks. So if our defensive line can maul like they did in that Nebraska game, 7 sacks, we can play with anybody. And then if Justice Haynes is spotting you, an 80-yard touchdown every game, which he's done, like that's going to help us as well on offense. I don't know what to make of the offense. It's like they'll have I think they showed the stat at one point. It's like they have like 120 total yards and in like 40 plays, and then like 3 plays have like 200 yards.
Right.
Like, I don't care how you're putting points on the board as long as you're doing that. And they seem to be able to spring long runs for whatever reason. I mean, Justin Hayes is a home run hitter in every sense of the word. But yeah, Nebraska, I mean, my God, you just got to be shaking your head at that program. They are the most infuriating offense. I watch a lot of Nebraska games for whatever reason. They are the definition of dinking and dunking. They just dink and dunk all day. And then when they finally fell behind and they start taking some shots downfield, they march down the field and score pretty easily. It's like that would just be the most frustrating thing to me if I was a Nebraska fan, is like they're in the Bryce Underwood issue where it's like, let's open this Raiola kid up. They throw the ball 40 times a game. It's like he completes 35 passes for like 200 yards. It's like, I don't know if it's a him problem. I don't know if it's a coaching staff problem, but maybe open that guy up. But Biff Poggi, I mean, he steals the show. I don't know. I feel like an idiot. I didn't know who the hell this guy was until last week. His vibes are all time. I mean, let's just ignore the screw up before halftime.
Right.
That was a big time blunder. Let's just ignore that because they won. But yeah, this guy's all time, and I'm gonna miss him as the interim head coach. He came in, did his job, had a great showing against Central, won a must-win game at Nebraska. Now back to Sharon. Let's see what maybe Sharon learned watching at home on the couch, and let's go build. I mean, I know we have a bye week coming up, and then Wisconsin. So, and then what could be an all-time matchup versus USC. Right. So let's just keep building. Not much to complain about other than the fact that I've talked a lot. But last thing I'll say, the one thing that is concerning, and people are tweeting this as well and noticing it, with you guys said it too. It's like we should have won that game probably by 3 scores.
Right.
But they just seem to have a lot of idiotic penalties. The one taunting penalty was the dumbest penalty I've seen maybe in my life, because Nebraska was dead. Nebraska was dead on that play. Brutal hit. They're going to punt, and then you have that dumb penalty. Now it prolongs the game. To me, those are the things that separate a good team, which I think Michigan is, and a championship team. When you play how they play and you're reliant on big-time running, big-time runs, and playing good defense, the special teams has been an issue, it seems like, nonstop, really under Sharon Moore. Penalties have been an issue under Sharon Moore. We got to clean that up. Is that worrisome to you guys? Is that just a few outliers, or is this just what this program is now? Is like not very disciplined at all?
I mean, it'd be hard not to point out, since Jim Harbaugh left, that some of that discipline stuff is in like fundamentals, tackling, just some of the basics of football, which, Jim Harbaugh stresses, to all of his teams. Some of that has slipped a little bit. Not saying that Jim Harbaugh teams never made a mistake or anything like that, but that taunting penalty, not sure we would have seen that if Jim Harbaugh was the coach, because like you said, that Michigan would have got the ball back. All the momentum was with Michigan. The offense was rolling. If they would have went and scored the game, they would have turned it into a 30-point blowout.
Right.
Instead, it flips and Nebraska goes down the field and scores. But so yeah, stuff like that. And I mean, Biff Poggi, he is such a great story. I don't know if you guys saw the interview he did on Game Day.
Oh, it's awesome.
The interaction he had with Nick Saban. I had heard that him and Nick Saban had a relationship before. I didn't know it was like that close, that they're really good friends. But he was a head coach at Charlotte before. He was at Michigan with Harbaugh. Then he came to Charlotte and coached Charlotte for a couple of years. And we worked a couple of his games. So I was in on some coaches calls with him. He is just the ultimate. I mean, he's coaching 100% because he loves football. He does not need the money. He's a multimillionaire. I mean, people know this multimillionaire hedge fund guy. That's where he made his money. And then he went to coach football just because he loved. I mean, that tells you like how much you love football and a coach. You know, when you don't need to do it for the money and you're just doing it because you love to be around the game, it's pretty cool. So I loved the story he told to Nick Saban on Game Day, and then kind of I think it was Desmond asked him basically like, "What's your role?" And he was like, "I'm just like the guy that puts my arms around the coach or the players. I'm the guy that helps my players out." Two ways. One, when they're getting yelled at, if he needs to like talk to him a little bit, but then off the field too, because there was a lot of stories about how he helped the players at Charlotte get in and out of trouble, or some other stuff like that. He does a good job helping his players. But yeah, Biff, he's a good dude to have around the program.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like you said, it's like, okay, let's just have this hedge fund manager who coached high school football. Like, let's just have him here to kind of solve some of our issues. It does make sense. I never thought about it, but yeah, let's just have that guy on the staff. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to have great sound bites. And he's going to make you laugh. Where's your vibes heading into the rest of the season? Is it like, okay, this is a playoff team? Have you not seen enough? To me, it's kind of sucks. Like, I thought this was going to be a good measuring stick. Then the second you beat Nebraska, you're like, yeah, it's just Nebraska. It's like they're 6-6. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just my narcissistic brain where that's like my first thing is like, that's just Nebraska. We'll find out more USC. I don't know. Where do you guys stand on this?
Well, I have a pretty good feel for this. I mean, it may not have been the most impressive win, but it's a big win, and the bye's coming at a good time, I think, because it gives Sharon that chance to kind of regroup, restructure his mindset heading into that USC game. USC looked okay against Michigan State, but I think Michigan can beat them, and I think you look at Michigan rest of their schedule after the bye.
Oh, it's easy.
It's not looking bad, man. They should be able to roll some games, and that Ohio State game looms large down the road.
Yeah, I mean, after this week's bye, they play Wisconsin, which is an absolute mess right now, and might not have a head coach by the time that game comes around, Luke Fickell. And then, they go out to USC. That'll be a good test. I mean,
yes, it will.
They won't be kicking off at 11 o'clock like Michigan State was. That'll probably be a 3:30, maybe a primetime game against USC. So that'll be a good test. But then it's Washington, who, is kind of middle of the road, definitely beatable, but at home. The big one, obviously, with Michigan State.
Right.
I mean, Michigan State kind of got beat up on against. I mean, their offense looked good, Michigan State's, but their defense was getting torched against USC. But rivalry game, you never know. And then Purdue is bottom of the Big Ten, so I mean that's 5 games right there. And then they get another bye week, 5 winnable games. They could be sitting at 7-1 before those last few games, including Ohio State. And we're sitting there like, this is a playoff team. They could also slip up in a couple of those games. That's kind of where we're at.
If you remember last year, like going into that year, like this is the hardest schedule maybe of all time because we had Texas and all the big boys in the Big Ten, like Oregon, obviously Ohio State, played USC as well. This year it's like a cakewalk. It makes you wonder, like, how the hell did Michigan get this schedule?
All right,
I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no Illinois, no Indiana, no Penn State. Okay, I'll take it.
I have something to say about the Michigan State USC game. Ted, you're probably gonna want to grab your nitroglycerin pills for this one.
Okay, all right.
I loved the 11 o'clock kick. I loved it. It's time for wall-to-wall college football. It really is. Why? It's time for, I don't know if it's Fox. I don't know if it's ESPN. It's time to make a premier game every week at 10 o'clock. Whether it's West Coast, whether it's not. I loved it. Whether you wanted to set the DVR, whether you didn't. Why not put a big – with all these games now, with the Big 12 being what it is now, with the Big 10, with the SEC, these super conferences, there's great games. Notice this whole season, every week is loaded with great games. It's time to add a premier game to that slot, 10 o'clock slot. I'm for it. What do you guys think?
Well, there was always the Pac-12 after dark. Pac-12 after dark was always the thing. But it was a lot of times it wasn't a premier matchup. It would be kind of like the second tier Pac-12 teams.
Right.
So
Oregon
would be cool,
State,
especially
Cal.
right, especially now with some of those West Coast Big Ten teams. Yeah, make an Oregon Penn State in Oregon at 10, 11 o'clock at night. It'd be a great environment for those kids out west.
I loved it. I mean, I'll admit I fell asleep at halftime, but regardless, it just that option being there makes me feel good.
I might surprise you. I don't mind it only because of the DVR because it did delay my college football final viewing, but it was kind of nice. I watched like the first play last night and I said, the hell with this. I'm going to just stop it and watch it all in the morning. So wife took her morning bath. I got organized. 7:30 this morning, coffee and Spartans and Trojans, man. It was
now my dad's a real weirdo. He literally texted me right before this recording. Like it was some funny video of this like USC coach like doing the robot. Like they were going nuts at kickoff.
They were.
But I'm like, dude, he's like, don't spoil it. This is at 7:30 on Sunday. He's finally watching the game. What are you? You're a weirdo, man. But as for the game, I mean, it was pretty telling that USC gashed Michigan State. I mean, I think they had 283 yards on the ground or something like that. Let me find it. Maybe that was Michigan. Anyway, they had a shit ton. USC hasn't gashed anybody since I think Reggie Bush and Lendale White were in the back. So it's like, holy hell, how did that happen? But it's like just a weird feeling if you're a State fan. They only lost by 14. I mean, they covered the spread, so technically they beat expectations. They had it to a one-score game in the third quarter. The offense looked good. Childs is good.
3 TDs.
It seems like State fans are out on Jonathan Smith before this game even started. And what they always say is, oh, well, look at Curt Cignetti in Indiana. I mean, I don't think you can point to Indiana and go, that's replicable everywhere, anytime, anywhere you go. He brought a loaded, undefeated JMU team to Indiana. He's clearly just a hell of a freaking football coach. As he said, I mean, Google me. I win everywhere. I don't understand why they're – what would you guys do? Let's put on your state. This might be crazy to think about, Matt. Put on the state hat. Your state hat. What do you guys think of Jonathan Smith? I think they're being a little harsh on him, but maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
I think they're being a little harsh too, and I think part of the harshness is his demeanor on the sideline. Right. He's not a fiery coach, Who knows what he does in practices, but I think his record speaks for itself. It's been pretty good. So I think a lot of the Sparty unrest is just the demeanor and the Sparty attitude in general.
As the kids say, he's Rizless. He's Rizless.
Rizless, right.
I don't know that term.
You have no charisma. You're Rizless.
Charisma. Yeah. I mean, he is the absolute opposite of Riz, if that's what the kids would say. I mean, but he wins football games, maybe not yet at like a high level. So maybe that's what they're waiting for. I do think Michigan State fans are a little quick to jump off of, maybe a good coach or a program when things aren't going well, because they want to be up here. They want to be peak Mark D'Antonio all the time. And the way that Mel Tucker left that program, it was going to take a few years to rebuild things. So I'm kind of surprised. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. If they lose to Michigan, if they end up around 500 again, then I think it might be fair to wonder, but I think you still have to give him another year. I mean, he's been there. This is his third season. So
he's better every year. I think
he's gotten better every year. Childs might
legit.
He may end up winning some awards at the end of the year. We'll see how the season plays out. But no, they're being too quick right now, in my opinion, to jump off of his John Smith.
I mean, I've said it before. Michigan State, their ultimate goal should be a program like Ferenc has at Iowa.
Right.
Solid 8 wins every year, knock on the playoff door once in a while, and just have a consistent program. And that's all you can ask for in college football anyway, if you want to have a sustained program, right?
Right.
I mean, they're the only now putting my cynic hat, their defense is so atrocious. Yeah. It is kind of like, what the hell have you been doing? Like, I think you actually thought that this defense was going to be serviceable and win you games. There really is no excuse, like, in terms of recruit. Like, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but there is no excuse in the recruiting world right now to be that bad. Right. I mean, that, like I said, USC hasn't gashed anybody in 20 years. They gashed them hard. They were doing whatever they wanted on offense. But I don't think you can just fire this guy or be ready to fire him. They're ready to fire him before this damn game even kicked off at 3-0.
Yeah, so, that's crazy.
And again, I think it is exactly what you said. If you're not a dominant coach, but then you're also very boring, Like, what are we like? At least Mel Tucker, like he had some electricity. He's doing the chopping thing on the sideline. He made headlines, good and bad. Obviously,
Right.
more bad, but at least you were talking about him. What
Right.
like that's like it's almost like we're struggling to even talk about this team. It's like they're just boring. He's boring. I like him. I think I don't, but like there's nothing to pull away from him.
It's like the coaches like Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State, never really been good, but
Right.
he obviously has all the, great
Right.
sound bites. And once in a while, like you said, Ted, once in a while, they'll have a 9, maybe 10-win team and kind of flirt with being legit. Mike Leach was always kind of that way. I mean, just a great interview, obviously an innovative offensive guy, but his teams were never necessarily great. He had a couple flashes, but his teams were always like fun to watch and he was fun to listen to. So, right. When you're not Kirby Smart contending for the national title every year, and you're also really vanilla, Rizless, fans are going to be out quick.
When's the petition start for Dabo Swinney to come to East Lansing? I wonder.
Where did you come up with that? Does he have ties to
No, just the top of my head. I mean, he's on the hot seat, and he's showing some emotion.
You talk about truly hating state. That would unleash like a new level of hatred in my heart for that program. It really would, man. I would love it for that sense. I would love it for that reason. But
right.
I don't know how well he would do at Michigan State, because I think one of the kind of like what you're saying, Jared, the transfer portal, a lot of fans, Michigan State fans, kind of criticize the amount of money that Michigan State's spending, whether it's with the basketball program or the football program, in the portal or with recruits. And Dabo Swinney, since paying players has become legal, his success has dropped quite a bit. He was only really good. Nothing ever came out confirmed, but it sure seemed like he found a lot of money to pay some of these big players. And, so I'm just saying, I don't know how good of a coach he would be at Michigan State. That'd be wild. That'd be the headlines. Like you said, that would steal all the headlines.
This is kind of crazy. I actually kind of agree with what Dabo has been saying, like where he had the great soundbite where he basically said something along the lines of, if you want to, if these fans want to fire me, I'll go win somewhere else. I will keep going. I'm only 55. I'm going to keep going. What is you talk about being a greedy fan base? What was Clemson before he was there? Were they even were they even a football program? Did they even have a team? I never even heard of them until he came in there and resurrected it. So it just seems like it's he said it something along the lines, we've won 8 ACC titles in the last 10 years. To me, that's a guy you're building a statue of. He has a lifetime job there, unless it really goes sour, which it might be this year. I mean, what the hell is going on there? But I don't know. I kind of like what he said. It's go and fire me. I'm gonna go win somewhere else.
It's not that I don't like what he said. It's that he said it. I mean, why does he feel like he has to say that? You know what I mean? It makes me think you're thin. Your skin's a little thin there, Dabo. What's going on?
What's weird about this year is they have talent. They brought back their whole team from last year. That was a playoff team. They're imploding. It makes you go, what the hell's going on behind those doors that's causing this implosion of a talented team with a stud quarterback? It's it is a bizarre situation. One last thing on Michigan State is they have a bye week just like Michigan, and then they're playing Nebraska. I don't know what it is about Nebraska. I can't quit that damn program. I'm now infatuated with that game. For both sides. Again, it's if Nebraska loses to Michigan State, it's okay, Matt Rule's getting fired. If Michigan State loses to Nebraska, it's okay, Jonathan Smith might get fired. I love those type of games. Let's see what happens. I'm intrigued by that one.
Oh, that game is all-time quarterback matchup too. I mean, Raiola is, a lot of analysts say he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and Aiden Childs. I mean, Michigan State fans, even if they're out on their coach, they're high on Aiden Childs. So I mean, that game is really intriguing.
That should be fun. Hey, I have 2 quick notes on the USC game, and it has nothing to do with what went on in the field. Number 1, Benetti and RG3.
Pretty funny,
I love that team, man.
Mm-hmm.
Benetti, I think he's an awesome football play-by-play guy. Does a good job.
I agree. I think I think it's only a matter of time before he's doing bigger and better games in football. I love listening. I like him in baseball too, but I forget. I love him in football. He just got that quick wit. There was a funny moment where they were supposed to go to break. He threw it to break, and then I don't know what the hell happened. They just never went to break. He was funny. He seems to play off of RG3 well. RG3 was making some sound effects about what it sounds like to and he kept setting him up to redo it again. So he's freaking clever, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't need me to say that. But yeah, I'm with you. I actually had similar thoughts listening to them. I'm like, I'm enjoying this.
And then the only other thing's a nightmare. You guys probably won't relate to it, but that every time I keep hearing that USC fight song in the background, I have flashbacks to Rose Bowl past, and USC would beat Michigan back in the day and send Bo packing. But you always heard that song, man. It just gives me chills down my back every time I hear it. It's one of those.
USC is just a classic program.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they've fallen on hard times lately, but just a classic college football program.
100%. And finally, here in this segment, Ferris again, our adopted team, Ferris 76-0 over some small school out of Ohio. Wyatt Bauer played one quarter essentially, was very solid. His brother Tarek caught a touchdown pass, but 76-0. What's up on that schedule?
I don't know. You can ask Coach Deese, I guess. I saw they were up like 50-0 in the first quarter or something like that. I don't know. Who is this school? Is it a D2 school or is this just like I don't know?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
it's like
Rio Grande?
Out of Ohio. Is it even pronounced Rio Grande? I don't know.
If it's pronounced Rio Grande out of Ohio, that sounds a little out of place.
Like, is it maybe NII? I gotta find this out because that's like a Central Michigan type loss. Like, what the hell is even going on there? How does that even happen?
I know.
Appalachian Athletic Conference.
Wow. A powerhouse.
Anyway, I'll find it out. But
yeah. Also, I was just going to say, Jaden Eddington did get some playing time in that game, had a carry. Yes. So everybody played in that one for sure. Big win by Tony and the boys. All right, let's take another quick break here and get to our prep spotlight with Coach Stiegel right after this. Well, it's the Prep Spotlight presented by the Jacobs Insurance Agency, local, independent, and trusted. And again, we have another great guest lined up for you tonight. We have the Grandville Bulldogs head football coach, Eric Stiegel, here with us. And first of all, Coach, great job over there at Grandville. What you got going over there is it's amazing. 3-1 on the season, a tough loss to Cass Tech. We'll talk about that maybe just a little bit in the interview. But again, congratulations, a big win last week over Caledonia. Let's start there. Tell us about how you picked up the big win there.
Well, I think it was probably our most complete game of the year as a team. I think, all three facets played really well. Got the opening kickoff, scored. They did score their first possession, really hit one big play. But from there, that point on, our defense was lights out. I think, we held them to about, over 50% of their plays were either negative or zero or a turnover. Special teams got us great field position all night. We just had a lot of kids play really well. And maybe some younger guys play their best game as a varsity player. So really encouraging, seeing different guys do some great things for us. And, hopefully again, we can keep progressing as a team, both on an individual level, but I think, more importantly as units and as an overall team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously now you had the Cass Tech game that Ted talked about earlier. Again, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that big matchup in a minute. But now you're really getting into that conference schedule. So now the meat of the schedule, it really starts to heat up. But I wanted to ask you about turning around Grandville, because when you came to Grandville, they had, I think it was 7 or 8 losing seasons in a row when you came in, and they weren't necessarily a down program, but they weren't, where you have them right now. Can you just talk about what it's taken to turn that place around, especially in that conference, OK Red, to be, right. I mean, not just one of the best programs on the West Side, one of the best programs in the whole state.
Well, you're right. I think when I came there, I think they had won one OK Red game the previous 3 years, hadn't made the playoffs in a while. I think the biggest thing for me, and it still really is I want to make sure that we focus on the main things. Having a great strength program, having great coaches to work with our kids. And I think just having, kind of preaching a message of consistency. And I know, again, that's not very flashy. But I think throughout my career, I learned, I was at Taylor Truman prior. I think I really learned that, there are a lot of things that you can do as a head football coach that might be fun, cool, really, really great to do. And not that we don't do those at Grandville, but I know, especially when I first got there, my message was we are going to focus on the things that it's going to take for, one, our kids to have a great experience playing football, in West Michigan. But number two, just what is it going to take to win, and how are we going to win as a program? Because how we're going to win as a program might be different than Rockford, Muskegon, Cass Tech, or any other team. We're going to try to focus on what we have to do to win. And again, maybe that's an oversimplification of it, but I never came in with a mindset of like, well, we need to be good in 3 years or 4 years. My mindset has always been that we have good players at Grandville. We have really good coaches at Grandville on my coaching staff. And if we prepare well, both that's through the off season and obviously during the season, that we can play and beat anybody that we play in our schedule. And that's kind of been my mindset. And as I said, we're not going to beat certain teams the way that other teams might beat them. But we have a recipe to do that. And I think that's kind of been my focus point of showing our kids and probably my coaches initially when I first got there too, of this is going to be the formula for us to win games against really good teams. It might not look what you done before. It might not look like what someone else is doing, but this is our way we're going to do it.
Nice.
We teased the Cass Tech game a little bit. I know it didn't end how you hoped.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was actually working the Tigers game down the road that night. I'm like, I think I'm at the wrong game in this city.
Right.
What was that like, just playing in downtown Detroit? Every time I pass that field, I'm like, man, that's quite an environment. What was that like?
Yeah, I think it's a unique experience, and I'm glad our kids got to have it. I think from the moment we stepped off the bus there, it definitely is not West Michigan. I'm from the east. I'm from the east side of the state. Originally from Ida, Michigan, so a small rural town, but then coached both as an assistant, as a head coach in Downriver, so pretty close to Detroit. But I've never coached in an environment like that, and our kids never played it. But I don't think that the environment ultimately had any kind of impact on for us in the game. Our kids, when we got between the white lines, we played right from the start and played a really good game. Again, disappointed we didn't win that one, but I think again showed our kids and anybody else that is watching that, not that more important for our kids, but that again when we play with our formula, do things the way that we want to, that we're going to be in a position to win games against pretty much anybody we play. And again, if we don't play with that formula, I mean, Cass Tech's got 20 Division I players, so we won the tournament to make sure that was an 11-on-11 game and not turn into a bunch of one-on-one matchups, because I think our kids really play. They really play hard for each other, and they play really fast within their units. We got some fast kids. We don't have as many as Cass Tech. I can tell you that.
What is your kind of, because I'm looking back at your guys' schedule last few years. I mean, you do schedule tough out of conference. Yeah. Grand Blanc, Davison, Cass Tech, Muskegon. Yeah. I mean, what is the reasoning behind that?
Well, I mean, to be completely honest with you, we can't find teams to play us. We're a unique offense. So when I first got there, we had some non-conference games, and then when we started to get pretty good, people said, well, this is not one. Granville's pretty good too. They run a pretty unique offense that if you're not prepped for it, it can be tough on you. Right. And it is a unique prep where in week 1, week 2 of the season, you're going to be spending maybe a lot of time in the summer, and maybe you would prefer just to spend your time going up against more base teams that you're going to see during your conference schedule. So, I mean, last year we played 2 teams in Illinois. We played a top team in Ohio last year. Really, it's just a matter of finding teams that will play us. I mean, we've had to pay some teams to come in and play us at our place, and we're welcome to do that. But I think as long as we're successful and we do what we do, I think I take it as a sense of pride that we have a hard time finding games. I mean, if people were, my first couple of years there, maybe we were still pretty good, but we had some people saying, hey, we'll play you. And now those teams don't want to play us. So I take that, and I think the kids take that as kind of a sense of pride that, sure. We know we're going to be a physically tough team for people to play. And, we're not a fun team for people to play. So I'm not looking to try to prove any points with, I want to schedule, we played Clarkston, De La Salle, and like I said, Davison and Grand Blanc, and, some big schools out of state, and then this year Cass Tech and Muskegon. I'm not looking to make any points with it. I'm looking to find games that we can get, so we have a full schedule. I mean, to be truthful, the past couple of years, we kind of went into March, April, and we didn't have all our games set. So, that's not a good feeling either, because it's no fun. We don't want to be sitting at home week one. So
right.
we're gonna sign up to play people. And I mean, again, the teams we're playing, Muskegon and Cass Tech, I mean, I think it's a similar boat for them. Those have been two of the most prolific teams in the state, over the past 10, 15 years.
Right.
So, I mean, they have a hard time finding games too. So it's just kind of what it is.
Coach, you talked about playing high school ball at Ida. You were quarterback there, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you didn't play the wing T there. What
We
made
did.
you?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Oh, we did. But no, it was the Delaware wing tee.
Uh-huh.
So it was a different wing tee. But yeah, you could go on with your question there. So I know what you're right.
No, my only question was, how did you decide this is what I'm going to run in my philosophy?
Well, if you'd have asked me probably in high school, or maybe when I first started, coaching, I would have said, this is not what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a spread team. I'm going to throw it around a quarterback. Sure. I want to throw the ball. I want the ball in my hands and doing those things. The first job I got was at Gibraltar Carlson, and the guy who hired me, his name is Steve Hamilton, and we were running the wing tee, like the tight tee that we run similar at Grandville, and didn't really. I mean, we had played against it, didn't have a lot of knowledge with it, but it's kind of what I learned right off the bat, and we had a lot of success with it. And I think he was a really influential coach on me, and I think he just operated really well. And I learned a lot of things from him. But I also, after my first year, we went out and met with Zeeland West and Coach Shilto. So I met Coach Shilto, I think, when I was 23 years old. And I, ever since I was 23, it was before I was on the west side of the state, it was an annual pilgrimage out there to spend a weekend with Coach Shilto and really try to dive into learning how to teach the offense, why things work, why things don't work, some of the nuances with it. So, he taught me a lot. So I think being around those guys when I was young, and then seeing the success that, both we had at Gibraltar Carlson, and then, obviously Coach Shilto, one of the greatest coaches in the history of the state, 5 state championships, had a lot of success at East Kentwood as a head coach and some previous stops, and then obviously the 5 titles at Zeeland West. So just kind of seeing how that worked against some really good teams. And, I think also then, when you see that work, you're like, hey, this is different. It's going to be unique. We're a unique prep for everybody. It's kind of worked out that way. And, throughout the years, I've learned more and more about it. So, I don't have all the answers, but I think that generally I feel like our kids, we have a pretty good idea going into games, what we're going to do and how we're going to adjust, and that we're going to be in a good spot against most people, because we do what we do, and we, hopefully we have some answers with it, and we have some really good players. So I think, Coach Hamilton, who then went on to Georgia and is now in Minnesota, he's won 3 state titles in Minnesota at Elk River, with that, and Steve Hamilton. So seeing those guys do it and really learning from them kind of really propelled me to do it, and seeing the success they had.
I mean, it's an offense that can 100% still be successful. I mean, there was a stretch there, obviously, where everyone wanted to spread it out. Everyone wanted 5 wide, air raid, Mike Leach type of offense, and that worked and everything. But I saw an interview on the SEC network this past weekend. Barry Switzer was on a show, and they asked him. Obviously, he's old school, but they asked him about the wing tee, and he said, if you could coach, would you still run? He was like, hell yeah, I would still run the wing tee. You have to recruit the right players to run that offense, but he was like, that offense for sure can still be successful in college football. So
it really is it. And I think that any offense can work, really for the most part in any environment. I went to Truman, and that was a more urban setting. The tee is not going to work here, and we had the best seasons in school history there. Set pretty much every record of wins, offense, play, all that. And then, going to Grandville as well, it can't work in the OK Red because it's too big and the schools have, seen it, and it's that. I would say this, that, there are some really good spread coaches out there, and they coach the spread really well, and it works. There's some really good pro formation people. It works because they coach it well. There are good option coaches. It works. So I think if you know your system, you know how to coach it, I think it can work. Obviously, there's going to be nuances and advantages and disadvantages to every system. One thing I also look at is, we are a big school, so we have access to a lot of kids, but we are not to say that, the private schools recruit, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know how they end up with all these kids, but we don't, so we're going to get who we get. And it is a system that does allow us to, I think, plug and play kids year to year, and still as much as it, to some people look, well, you run the same thing every year. I think we adjust really well to our personnel.
Right.
And, when we have great quarterbacks, they get featured. When we have great fullbacks, they get featured. When we have great tight ends, they get featured. When they have halfbacks, they get featured. And we're able to get our best players the ball, just like any other offense. We're able to, get the guys touches that we want. So in terms of, Mike Leach said it, you mentioned him, like, balance in offense isn't so much about run pass, but, how many different guys can touch the ball and that the defense has to defend? Can you make them defend different gaps, different areas of the field, whether you're running or throwing? So I think, to that level, we do have a good balance. We definitely run it a lot more than we throw it, but we have a lot of guys that touch the ball and do good things.
Definitely.
One of your key guys is your running back, Jaden Terry. I saw his nickname is Tank. I mean, simply
Yeah.
is he literally a tank? What can you tell us about?
Well, he's the best player I've ever coached. And again, you say that you get a player like that, and it's like, well, hey, how are you gonna feature a single back in a 3-back offense? Well, he's the all-time leading rusher in OK Red history.
Yeah.
That was after his junior year. So, he's an outstanding player. So, we've developed some different ways to get him the ball. Had some different schemes to get him the ball. And when I say he's a tank, he's probably about 5'9", 195 pounds. But he churns piles and he's fast and he's elusive. And I think, more than just being a great runner, our running backs all block. He's a tremendous blocker. He's not a guy that's going to say, well, I need to have the ball 25 times. I got to have it here. He's going to block. He's going to fake. He's going to pass protect. He plays defense. So, I mean, he's a complete football player. So, he definitely is a tank. And thankfully, he's got a younger brother who's a freshman coming up. So
Oh, nice.
That's good
Baby
for us
tank.
too.
Baby tank. Yeah.
He's a good one too. So hopefully, we'll continue to talk about the Terrys over the next few years at Grandville High School.
It's always cool to have those, the lineage, the generational players coming through. That's really cool for a program. Last one for me, Coach. I don't know if the other guys have one more, but I wanted to ask you about. You talked about the environment at Cass Tech, and that's one of the best in the state, obviously. But the West Side, we grew up in Mid-Michigan. There's some really cool stadiums and environments in Mid-Michigan. Some that have been upgraded recently, Grand Blanc being one of them, and there's some others that have updated their facilities recently. But the West Side, we've said it on this podcast numerous times, is probably unmatched. I mean, your guys' facilities, Rockford, East Grand Rapids, and I mean, you could keep going and going with these stadiums and these facilities on the West Side. Can you just talk about playing on the West Side of the state and just like those environments and stadiums?
Yeah. I think I realized that when I'm in my 12th season. When I first came over, I was just kind of blown away by that. You're looking at, in the OK Red, and then you're looking at stadiums that are, comparable to the GLIAC, with that, and then some are nicer. And in my 12 years at Grandville, I think almost every facility has been upgraded. And I think we're probably doing the next couple of years. We were just at Caledonian. They just redid their facility completely, and it's amazing. It's great. I think there's just a sense of there's such a really great sense of community on the west side of the state, where Granville people take pride in being a Bulldog, and Rockford people take pride in being Rams, and so on. And every community has their own identity, and high school sports are so important. So not just the football stadiums, but, our weight room facility is 8,000 square feet. And we were one of the first, I think we were the first high school in the state to hire a full-time strength coach, not just a PE teacher, but a full-time strength coach for our athletic program. That was that was I think my second year when I was there, and it was someone that came with me from Truman that was doing strength for us. So the west side of the state makes a tremendous amount of commitment to the kids in athletics, and then because they know it's important. And I do think one of those reasons might be that, if you're on the east side of the state, the Lions, the pro sports are very prevalent. Michigan is very prevalent on the east side of the state. In Mid-Michigan, Michigan State is very prevalent, and I'm a Spartan. So when you get to the west side of the state, obviously you have Grand Valley State and Fair State, which are and Davenport, and we have some big time Division II football. But Central Michigan and Western Michigan are about an hour away. So when you look at just the football fix that people get, Friday nights is maybe the main fix for some people. Whereas on the east side of the state, it's you're going to gear up to go to the Michigan game or, the Lions and such, which again, I love watching college football and pro football too. But I think on the west side of the state, high school football is king, and really high school athletics are king. I mean, we have great weight rooms, great baseball fields, great gymnasiums, and the communities just kind of continue to just invest in those, and I think that's a great thing.
We've been watching the west side of the state and football powers in the state finals for many years now, so we know what goes on there. I got a couple questions for my final couple here, Coach. Number one, I got to check my facts now that you got me thinking.
Okay.
Did some of your career, were you a special ed teacher?
Yeah, and I still am a special ed teacher. I'm actually I have a role now where my role is to really kind of develop like a mentor program for our special ed kids in the autistic impaired and cognitive impaired programs, where we pair kids like general ed kids to work with them throughout the day. So that's kind of my role right now, but I'm still technically a special ed teacher. And I got a big passion for that. Coming up for us next week, we have something called Victory Day, which is basically it's a big event for our special needs kids, K through really, our transition program, where they're going to be paired with football players and go out and have a football game day experience. Cheerleaders are there, crowds there. I got a passion for working with for students with disabilities, and I think really trying to make sure that those kids can have a great experience in school. And really, as I tell my kids, both my students that are kind of our mentors, we call them links, and then my football players, just letting those guys know that you can make a tremendous difference in someone's life just by doing normal things and just by spending time with them, asking them questions, talking to them about interest, things that you normally do with your friends. And I know that goes a long way. And so I'm really proud of that with our players. I'm really proud of that in the Grandville community.
Well, you talked a little bit about that with your players, and my real question was going to be, how does your teaching philosophy for that tough class? I mean, let's face it, it's not for everybody. My sister retired after 35 years in that business, so I know what it's like. But how does that, your teaching style, go into your coaching philosophy?
Well, I would say this: I'm probably more patient in the classroom than I am with my players, and I've told them that. But I do think what you take from that is, I think the ability of a coach and the ability of a leader is not. It's that you have to take people places and find ways to get them to go places that they couldn't go by themselves. And, as a special ed teacher, you need to find out, and really not just a special ed teacher, but a teacher in general, you need to find out how the kids learn, why they learn a certain way, find out their strengths, find out their weaknesses, and you have to play to those. And I think as a coach, it's the same thing. I may have an offensive lineman that learns something a little bit different, and I got to try to get him to connect it in a way that the kid on the other side of the line doesn't have to. So I think finding different learning styles and finding ways to reach kids is really what coaching is. And again, I enjoy that pressure and responsibility of saying it's my job to get to the students and my players a way to be successful. With that, I'm not one that's ever going to raise my hands up and say, oh, our kids just aren't good enough. Our kids aren't tough enough. Because if that's the case, that's on me and our coaching staff, because that's our job. Because I know we have the kids at Grandville to do it. So I think that there's a way to do it with every kid. You just got to find that way. Sometimes it clicks right away. Sometimes it might not click to week 8 or 9. Sometimes it might click as their sophomore year. Sometimes it might click the middle of their senior year. So you just got to keep beating the drum, but looking for new ways to do it.
Yeah, that's a special skill to have, whether it's as a teacher or as a coach. I mean, they both do go hand in hand, one in the classroom, one on the football field. Before we get you out of here, big matchup coming up this weekend against Rockford. Again, one of the best programs in the state, definitely on the west side. Can you give us just a couple little thoughts on playing the Rams, maybe what you're hoping for, what you're kind of telling you guys?
Anytime you play them, we know each other extremely well. We played them once in the regular season last year, once in the playoffs. We got them in the playoffs. They got us in the regular season. I think they defend us historically better than anybody. I mean, we've had some other great teams defend us too in our conference, but historically throughout my 12 years, they defend us really well. They're extremely well coached. They're tough. They're physical. We know that it's a game we're going to have to buckle the chin straps up pretty tight because it's going to be a physical battle. So who can win the point of attack on both sides? I mean, they have a tremendous, as I said, a tremendous defense year in and year out. Their offense is tremendous and tremendously physical and multiple. So we know that it's going to be a game that's going to have implications on the conference standings. It's going to have implications, maybe on playoff seeding down the line, if both of us are fortunate enough to win enough games to get there. But it's again, when I came to Grandville, I told our guys, and I told the administration, I said, one of my goals is that I want Grandville, when people think of West Michigan football, I want to be one of the first teams they talk about. I want people to say the Grandville Bulldogs, they're from the OK Red, they're from the West Side. And there's no doubt that maybe the first team you do think of on the West Side of the state is Rockford. When you talk about that, the history they have of winning, 3 state titles with Coach Munger. Coach Cummings has come in and done just a tremendous job. It's a game where it's a measuring stick game, in the OK Red. So we'll be excited for it. Our kids are excited for it. It'll be a big home environment for us. We've been on the road 3 straight weeks, so it's nice to come home. And I'm expecting a huge crowd, both of Bulldogs and Rams, and it'll be a great game and a great environment, and it'll be fun to play and coach in.
No, we'll definitely be. We talked before the podcast. We'll definitely be following along with Snooze to You. We'll follow. I'm sure he'll be right there on the sidelines.
He'll be there.
Shout out to Snooze. Other than following Snooze to You on social media, can you just tell our listeners maybe where they should, if they want to keep up on Grandville football, where the best place is?
I know our athletic boosters. Our football boosters have a Facebook site. That's really it. We're not super active on social media. Probably were a few more, years ago. But our booster club is, and tons of photos. I think everybody now, there are multiple people taking. I'm just making sure that that they're people we know, but they're on our sideline taking pictures. So our kids get great pictures. But if you just, there's a Granville football photography page on Facebook. So there's going to be a ton of action shots. I'm sure people want to, if people want to get any posters blown up of me, they could probably find some up there too. Get some Eric Stiegel posters on their wall. Maybe you guys want to put that up next to the Michigan helmet. I don't know, but back there, you might want to get that up. So I think the Grandville football boosters page on Facebook.
Yeah, good deal. Well, hey, we appreciate it, Coach, and we'll be definitely keeping an eye on what you guys do. Definitely this Friday, that Rockford game, that's going to be a good one. So, but good luck to the rest of the season.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate the coverage and appreciate all the coverage you do to promote high school football. Thank you.
Hey, good conversation there with the coach. You can tell he knows what he's doing there, and that should be one heck of a game Friday night, boys.
Yeah, I lived in Granville for a couple of years. That it's a suburb of Grand Rapids. It's near Grand Valley State University. I lived there for 2 or 3 years anyway. At the end of my time at Grand Valley, and then after I graduated, it's a really cool town. I worked at the mall there for a few years in Granville.
The famous mall story.
Oh yeah, that was my college job. So I know Granville a little bit. I didn't get plugged into the school system or anything, but really, really cool town. So it's not surprising that when you get the right coach in, like Coach Stiegel, that you can turn that program around because the community supports it, like you said.
My favorite part was him saying, we run the wing tee. Smartly enough, he said, all right, let me go to Zeeland West and coach Shiawassee and let me spend a week with him every year. Pretty smart right there by itself. So no, that was really good talking with him. Seemed very smart, almost smarter than us three deserve. So no, you can tell why he's a good coach and exciting to see what they're building there. Absolutely.
Hey, I do have one local thing here to put into the prep spotlight. Last Friday night, New Lothrop, a big 31-21 win over Birch Run. It looks like the Hornets are back after a down year last year. I've talked about him before. Sophomore quarterback Carson Agnew, 20 of 27 passing for almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, all 3 to Aaron Wenslick, 43, 68, 16 yards. So Clint Galvis has that offense cranking again, man. That's just a fun program to watch.
It really is. They're not afraid to sling it around and they've had quarterbacks that can do it. So if you get the right, signal caller in there, those offenses are pretty electric. So it's good to see they're back. We knew they were going to be back. It almost was like it was shocking that they weren't, running to Ford Field last year. So it's good to see they're back and not surprising.
Amen.
We have to note, Ted, and that the Owasso Clio game. We We had Owasso's coach on last week, and it sounds like it was another nail biter down to basically the last play. Just another epic game for Owasso that they didn't come out on top, but still sounds like a good game.
Yeah, I came real close to going to that game with my wife. She didn't show the most interest that I had, so she got the veto power, but I was following it very closely on Twitter. And I was going to mention in our interview, probably one of the best things about X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it is Friday nights, man. Just
Right.
following all the high school games. It keeps you up to date in real time, which is really cool.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. This has been the Prep Spotlight presented by the Jacobs Insurance Agency, and this was a fun one as always. We'll be back with Tedertainment Tonight. Got a little play review I'm going to pass on, and we'll have a couple other things right after this. All right, guys, it's time for a little Tedertainment Tonight. You know, I went to the play the last time I went to the play at the Lebowski Center, but I had tickets to see A Beautiful Noise. That's the Neil Diamond play. And, you know, this is well before your time. I'm sure you've heard Neil Diamond songs on the radio somewhere on an oldies station, but it's a musical based on his life. And it's quite an interesting life he had. And you know, the guy that played Neil as a young Neil Diamond all the way up till he was an old timer, the guy is named Nick Fradinani, and he is an American Idol champion. Yeah. American Idol season 14, I think he won. He was phenomenal as Neil Diamond. I mean, he sounded exactly like him. It was incredible performance. And, you know, it makes you realize he may not be in your sweet spot for music listening, but he's a legend. I mean, Neil Diamond is an all-time legend, man, for the songs he wrote and performed. You can go on the list. He started out with I'm a Believer for the Monkees, and then just rambled on from there, hit after hit after hit throughout the 70s and early 80s. I mean, you can only say he's a legend. And this play lived up to the billing. It was tremendous. Yeah. So if you ever get a chance to see it, it's the traveling show from the Broadway production. It's still on Broadway. If you're ever in New York and wanted to see it on Broadway.
When did you become this play like Edgar Allan Poe type character? You're like a playwright, man. You're at a play every weekend. When did that happen?
I'll give credit to my wife there. She kind of brought me into it early on in our relationship. We had a weekend in Toronto and saw Phantom of the Opera, and it kind of hooked me, man. If you ever see a live production, it's pretty incredible. And I kind of mostly like musicals. I don't know if that sounds weird or not, but when you go to a musical like the Frankie Valli story, right? Jersey Boys,
right?
Incredible music, but it also tells a story. And this one told the whole story of how Neil Diamond started. You know, he had 3 different marriages. It goes into some of that. And he had some ties with the mafia buying his music, and it went into that. And what it's cool about these kind of plays, the music ties perfectly into the storyline. So it's a great evening of entertainment. Now, the not so good from my experience at the Wharton, they had something going on with the air conditioner, man. It was a hot September night, and it was hot in that theater, man. It was awful.
It's underwhelming. It's underwhelming. I remember that from being a kid. I don't remember having a sense of awe walking into the Wharton Center when I was a kid.
Yeah, and the other negative I have, they don't have enough aisles. I mean, they have an aisle at each side, and then they got these. Yes, and they got these long rows, and then you got you got to walk by people, and they get up and go.
No, I don't do that.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. You already know my run-in at the movie theater where I never went back into the theater after an asshole had a problem with me walking 3 steps past him. So I would never do that. I couldn't do that.
Right.
Especially
all the time. I can't do that.
Especially if you're sitting in the middle and you got to in the middle of the show, like, excuse me. No.
Yeah,
no, that sounds like it would be a good show. No, plays are really fun. I mean, obviously, the quality of the production, makes a big deal. So if you're seeing whether Broadway or off Broadway, I mean, that makes a big difference. But no, it is live. Anything. Watching sports live, watching a play live, all that. Watching stuff live makes a big difference.
Absolutely. And then the only other thing I got, I think both you guys have seen this as well. The Tonight show in Detroit after last week's Lion win, they played it Monday night. Jimmy Fallon, man, that was a love story for the D, man. They touched on pretty much everything in Detroit and made Detroit look really good, I thought.
Yeah, and he seemed to really fall in love with the city too.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a couple moments he got emotional and like he talking about. I saw some clips of him afterwards talking about that show and how much he loved the Detroit, the city of Detroit, the people in Detroit, and obviously he had all the stars and a bunch of other really funny moments and actors. And I mean, it was a really cool show.
I don't know what to make of Fallon. He's like, I'm not gonna get political. I'm not. All I'm saying is like, it's funny how we've talked about Kimmel, we've talked about Colbert. They're both basically, I don't know, gone or canceled or whatever. He's like kind of still there because he's just like this G-rated, like never does anything controversial, never pushes the issue one way or the other. I don't know. It's like I don't know what to make of his show. I don't find it that entertaining. Am I crazy? Like it's so safe that it's kind of sickening in a weird way. It's almost worse than whatever Kimmel or Colbert did.
It's kind of interesting you bring that up. I had some thoughts on the Kimmel. I'm not even going to get into it now, but what you're bringing up, it's a fair comment, really. Jimmy Fallon is not making waves, never has. It's kind of the Johnny Carson view of how he did it. There's a way to make political jokes and not be vicious.
Right.
And that's the line he follows, and I get what you're saying. He's a little boring at times because he's always so rah, and his interviews are kind of corny. But I mean, he's holding on to that spot. The Tonight Show's been around for freaking ever, man. And I don't see it going away. It might be the only last surviving late night show the way things have gone. And who knows, that may not last because the trend is more to social media type of clips and going towards your generation, which isn't into late night shows, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. Jimmy Fallon, obviously, too, not necessarily his first start, but SNL was like his break into the industry. So I always look at his show as like it's like an extension of SNL. He's doing the skits, and when he has certain guests on, they do these gimmicky games and just goofy stuff that you would kind of see on SNL. Right. And he clearly does skirt the line of like he does not do anything too controversial. He'll make the jokes about Trump or when Biden was president or whoever. He'll do that stuff, but it's in a goofy way, kind of like what you said. It's nothing offensive. It's whatever, just fun jokes, and I'm sure that's very intentional. I would think that he obviously probably has his opinions and beliefs and all that, but he doesn't want to turn his show into like a political platform. It would be my assumption. From
what I've heard, he's like I don't, not that I have sources, just I feel like people have said this, like he's kind of like a deviant behind the scenes from what I've understood. I don't know if that's true or not. I thought he drinks and stuff like that. So it's just weird. I don't know. He just got this kind of a persona. I like him. It just, again, he's just kind of lukewarm. It's the oatmeal thing. He's just lukewarm. It's like, all right.
Yeah. There's definitely some shows that I wouldn't watch if it wasn't a guest or something, or if it wasn't in Detroit. He was never a show where I'm like, I'm going to watch this every night.
Right.
Whereas at least when I was watching them, Letterman, I could watch every night.
Oh,
he was my favorite. And I always loved Conan O'Brien, but yeah.
Conan's like just brilliant. Like Conan is similar where he's just smart. He's funnier. Like, I don't even remember what Fallon's joke was the other night where he ended with like the punchline was like WTF. I was like, what was that joke?
I know.
Anyway, enough of that. But I have one real quick complaint, really more than anything. I'll give to the complaint as I tee it up, I guess. So there's this movie I used to watch when I was a kid. I loved it when I was a kid. It's not even a good movie, but it's called Four Brothers. It's set in Detroit. It's Mark Wahlberg and Tyrese is in it, and Andre 3000 and the guy who plays Billingsley in Friday Night Lights. Just like a movie when I was watching when I was 6 years old. Like it came out in 2005. Like I just enjoyed it. Good action flick. Basically, what happens is they're these four adopted brothers from Detroit, and their adopted mom gets murdered. So the whole movie they're trying to figure out who did this murder. So I watched it when I was a kid. I loved it. Probably seen it 20 times. I was like, I'm gonna watch it. Like, why I wanted to watch it is because it's set in Detroit. I'm like, let me watch Detroit now that I've lived here for 4 years. I know the area well. I want to see like where was this bar scene at? Where was this shot on the street? What street in Detroit was it at? I'm like watching it, and other than a couple of like basically canned like scenic shots, they have one shot of Cass Tech, one shot of Grand Central Station or whatever it's called. Other than that, like you can just blatantly tell this movie is like shot in Canada. Like I'm watching, pissing me off. It's like, where are any of these shots? Why? Like there's so many good shooting locations in Detroit.
Oh yeah.
And they just came in and said, let's shoot this goddamn thing in Ontario. I had to look it up. Like, where is any of this shot? None of this is Detroit. shot in Canada. I hate when movies do that. I freaking hate it. They just want to take the credit of Detroit. Basically, Detroit's this hood city and it sucks. Let's act like it's Detroit, but not do anything for Detroit or actually make it realistic and shoot it in Detroit. It just pissed me off watching it. How hard would it have been to pick a bar in Detroit? How hard would it have been to pick a house in Detroit? It's like, what are they're like, seriously? Like, it pissed me off a little bit. You guys
I definitely
in that sense.
Yeah, I think we all definitely agree on that. I've always thought with movies, if you're gonna say this is Detroit, if you're gonna say this is Boston, if you're gonna say, then you need to shoot in that city.
100%.
If you want it to be like loosely based on Detroit and name the city, just like something else, like go shoot wherever you want, and then we can make the connection that like, oh, this is like it's supposed to be Detroit. Right. But no, if it's kind of like I feel like we talked about it with someone. I think it was the Harson's Revenge guys or something, like that movie Semi-Pro. They were the Flint Tropics.
Yeah,
they actually shot the movie
they were in Flint.
If they would have been the Flint Tropics and talked about Flint, but they shot it in Ontario. Everyone in Michigan would have been like, "No, this is bullshit. This is Flint. This makes no sense."
And think about that. They found locations to shoot in freaking Flint. I mean, my God, you couldn't find a few in Detroit for this shitty Mark Wahlberg movie. Like, it was irritating. It was irritating.
Well, look what Fallon did, man. He was all over Detroit. And I tweeted you or texted you guys, man. Ford spent a shit ton of money on advertising for that show, man. And it looked good. Detroit looked really good. And that's kind of a little bit of a hidden secret. Yeah. Is there some rough areas and there's some tough spots there like any other city, right? And I think in the downtown area, they still have some things they need to improve on. What they need to do, like the fun cities, like, if you're in the Loop in Chicago or if you're in Manhattan, you got people walking all over the place. And in Detroit, you don't really have that other than game times, right?
Right.
So it'd be cool if it gets back to that stage where they had the white flight back in the 60s, maybe come back. And it's starting to do that, but it's still going to take some time, I think.
Yeah, making the city a little more walkable where you can get from Comerica over to some good restaurants and some good, shops and stuff like that.
And then the restaurants be open.
and everything be open. That's a big part. I was going to add, I know we're probably getting to the end. One thing that my wife and I watched, Netflix documentary, AKA Charlie Sheen.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I'm
going to. Seen that. Yeah, it's good. I mean, we all remember. I kind of forgot. I remember I was young and, when Charlie Sheen really made it big into Hollywood, but I definitely remember my dad watching some of those early movies, like late 80s, early 90s when Platoon and, a bunch of those other ones where Charlie Sheen really blew up. And then obviously, I mean, I watched all of 2.5 Men when he was on that show. And we remember the rise and the fall of Charlie Sheen with all the stuff that he went through. But this documentary is great. I mean, it's a really cool look at like, his family, with his dad, with Martin Sheen and his brothers, how they grew up. I didn't know. I mean, how they grew up. They were on the set of Apocalypse Now with Martin Sheen, as children. Mm-hmm. They grew up in the movie industry. So it's no surprise that, they got into the industry themselves. I mean, he obviously, they talk about it in the documentary that he's like, I'm going to tell everything. No details spared. And man, he tells some wild stories and it's just really interesting. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking necessarily, but for people who remember Charlie Sheen, the actor, and then, when all the stuff was happening with him on, through his heyday with 2.5 Men and stuff. It's a really interesting documentary about, someone rich and famous in Hollywood.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen's always been one of those fascinating actors to me. I mean, the rise and the fall, I'm sure it's well documented.
Yeah.
My little brush with fame, I think I've said it before somewhere on this podcast, actually saw a filming and a taping of 2.5 Men back in the day.
Nice.
And went down. We had a VIP tour. I had some connections. Had a VIP tour afterwards, and met his brother Alan. What's his name in real life?
John Cryer.
Got to talk to him a little bit, but I'll never forget scoping out Charlie, and he's over in kind of in the back area there of the sound stage, and he's wheeling and dealing with some I just got to say it looked like it might have been a hooker, a good looking one, but it looked like he was wheeling and dealing. So that's my brush with Charlie Sheen,
Wow.
up close and personal.
That
Charlie
2.5
Sheen.
Men, I was never a 2.5 Men guy. I don't know what it
No.
was about that show. It never grabbed me, man. I even as a kid, I was like, what is this? But
Love that show.
Oh yeah.
I just until I looked up Martin Sheen, I didn't realize that the cop in The Departed was Martin Sheen. I didn't know it was his brother.
Right.
Oh yeah.
He guy's a classic actor. I liked him in that movie. That's the only movie I know him from. Is The Departed. But
You'd be surprised. He's in a lot of stuff. You've definitely seen him.
yeah, the one thing that was like the viral thing, like basically promoting this documentary, is he had the quote basically saying he quote unquote flipped over the menu when it came to dating or being with women to being with men. It was just it was just kind of a funny comment. Flipped over the menu. So
Really?
that was going viral. No problem with it. It was just kind of a funny quote. He flipped over the menu.
Hadn't heard that one, the term or that rumor, but
About him,
whatever.
I think he talked about it. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, he talked about it. Yeah.
That was how he said
talked
it.
about it. Yeah.
Flipped over the menu. But
Was
that's
that
like when we talk about like P. Diddy and stuff, it's like these guys who like they have the world as their oyster. It's like it corrupts people, man. And not that it corrupted him. I'm not saying that. I mean, he had his issues, Charlie Sheen, but yeah, just a weird, fascinating character.
I'm really curious. I mean, was that a conscious decision or was that like a drug-infused orgy situation?
All of the above, I would say.
Okay.
And how it's described, but it really is.
That.
He's a fascinating guy just because, you think about, of all the money, all the fame, everything, and you still have all these demons. So it's,
right.
It is an interesting story. So it's a two-part.
Is he doing good now?
He's sober.
7 years sober, right?
Well, then, yeah.
7 years sober, and he's like, he has, what was it, his 4 kids, and he's, involved in all their lives. So,
right.
Yeah. And they have John Cryers on it, and, like Martin Sheen didn't want to do it. Emilio Estevez didn't want to do it.
Right.
But, they have other people who worked with them. So that's interesting to hear from them too.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely look forward to that in the next week or so. I got to fit it in between my Tigers baseball and football as well.
Midnight football.
Yep. Well, let's call it a podcast, boys. Just as always, we're brought to you by Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center, the Memorial Orthopedic Walk-in Clinic, now open Monday through Fridays, 8 to noon, no appointments needed. Our other great partners include AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook & Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Nichols Painting, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, Shiawassee County Fair, and ALS of Michigan. If you're ever checking out any of our sponsors, tell them, you heard their ad here on the podcast. It goes a long way. By the way, the next Z92.5 game of the week coming up Friday, the annual backyard brawl, Corona 0-4 at Owasso 3-1. We'll see if Owasso can bounce back from that stinging loss to Clio, and the Cavaliers are going to look for redemption. It's that red letter game that you mark every year. See if they come out fired up and look to pull the upset. Also want to thank our special guest, Grandville Bulldog coach Eric Stiegel, for joining us. He was fun. Next week, we have another fun guest, award-winning baseball writer Emily Walton will be joining us. And speaking of our next podcast, we're going to put together a little special Lions short pod coming up a little later this week. We're recording this one here on Sunday night. So the Lions playing Monday Night Football. So we'll have some thoughts on their game against the Ravens coming up a little later this week. That's it. Peace and love, everybody. Be kind. Thanks for listening.